Hi, I'm Daphne Richards. The inspiration for this week's question comes from producer Linda Lamersfurdas and my own backyards. Why did some plants bloom so early while others were so late that we stood in our gardens virtually willing them to hurry up? Actually, I'm sure that our savvy CTG viewers fully understand why plants bloomed so early this year. You don't have to be a weather nerd to have noticed that 2015-16 was the year without a winter. Many gardening friends reported to me that they had recorded 0 freeze events in their landscapes. Myself, I noted only 2, and while that led to most plants' emergence from hibernation much earlier than usual, some during the middle of January, even for others, the lack of cold made for a wasted years. Specifically, certain plants use the hours of daylight as a seasonal yardstick. Only once the days are longer than a certain number of hours will they flower or have a growth spurt. Well, more accurately, it's when nights are shorter than a certain length, but that's a discussion for another time. But perhaps more notably in your garden, certain fruit trees were laid onto the scene. For temperate zone plants, the number of chill hours is critical for the mechanisms that control flowering and fruit production. And since flower bud emergence occurs before leaf buds begin to break, their whole biochemical systems were thrown out of whack. As of May 5th, my plum tree had 1 flower and 2 leaves on it. With fruit trees, it's critical that you select cultivars that are matched to the number of chill hours typical for your area. And my plum tree happens to need a more normal amount of winter temperatures than we received this year. Late emergence for my plum tree has been the trend for the 5 years it's been in my garden. But as I planted this particular cultivar in memory of my mother, it was her favorite plum, and plums were very important to her. I haven't wanted to give up and replace it with a more appropriate one. Sadly, I think this might be the year that I do so. I think she would understand. Our plant this week is the grapes cultivar of Gomphrena, which is sold under several other cultivar names, including Itsy Bitsy, Teensy Weensy, and Little Grapes. Although grapes is the most common name here in Central Texas, the other 3 seem a lot more appropriate since the references to the flowers, which are bright purple, but certainly much smaller than any grape I've ever seen. But what they lack in size, they more than make up for in number and vibrancy. Mostly referred to as a perennial and listed as hardy to zone 8 in colder areas and in unseasonably cold winters, this mounding plant with lanky floral stems is treated as an annual. But in our demonstration garden at the Extension office in Southeast Austin, it's been reliably evergreen since we planted it 4 years ago. Plant in full sun and water moderately for best performance, and beds with a little extra organic matter are best, with seasonal applications of small aggregate or even compost mulch, which will break down and work its way into the soil more quickly. Gomphrena grapes flowers almost all year long, but the most intense display will occur in the fall. The long-stemmed flowers attract butterflies, dry easily, and make great floral arrangements. If you don't have room in your garden, Gomphrena grapes also performs quite well in containers. Our viewer pick this week goes to Victoria Dawson in Lakeway of her gorgeous native giants borderworts. Thanks, Victoria. We'd love to hear from you, so please visit us at klru.org/ctg to send us questions and photos from your garden.